see anything? So it says we are live and on air. Woo, this is exciting.
Says we are live.
Live. Are we live?
Oh, got a commercial.
All right. That means I'm monetized. Yeah.
Sweet.
There goes my 32 cents.
Monetized.
Let's see.
Hello, Gun Nation.
Hello, everybody.
What's up, everybody?
And let's see. How many people do we have on right now? 4?
17.
17. Well, that's a perfect number.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get to 76. That would be even better.
Right.
So we'll give everybody a couple of minutes to get on. And hello, everyone. How you all doing? Hopefully you're having a great night on a Wednesday. I can tell you right now in New York, it's pouring rain. Yesterday, it was freezing cold. It was like 50 degrees as a high. Today, it's like 80. So everybody's getting sick. It's awesome. So how's everybody doing? How are you two clowns? Everybody's good?
Living the dream. As long as you don't wake me up.
Yeah, doing well, man. Doing well. Enjoying a week off. It got cold on my week off. It was like 50 degrees this morning. I've been in shorts and a sweatshirt all day, which is my favorite kind of outfit. So this has been a good week.
Very
you haven't
good.
worn your Snuggie today?
No, it's at the dry cleaner.
He brought his binky.
Right.
Your camo tactical Snuggie.
That's right. My tactical teddy bear.
Yeah. So we're gonna get it's only 8:01, so I guess we'll give them another minute and we'll see how many people start going in. I'm looking at some of the comments already. Dennis Jones is talking about climate change. Now, if only the New York political climate would change it. Welcome to 2A. That'd be a great point. If many of you are not aware, our beloved intelligent governor, Andrew Cuomo, was being interviewed in the newspaper, and they were asking him, how is he going to solve the economic woes of New York State with the loss of population? So his answer was very simply, it has nothing to do with taxes. It has something to do with the weather. So I think that's a big miss by Mr. Cuomo.
Yeah. I think he has several of those.
Yeah. All right. So let's get this show on the road, fellas. And we got a lot to talk about because there's been a lot of awesome stuff that was, I guess, sort of released, but more like, like previews, sneaks, that kind of stuff. First off, I'm going to say this is going to be an absolute awesome one that's going to be coming out soon. And of course, that's the Apex trigger from for the FNN and the 509 series, and of course the FNN 9 and so on and so forth. So that's going to be awesome. I think that's getting released on Monday, if I'm not mistaken. Do you guys know?
Pre-orders now? I think they're dumping it out on Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, and it's going to be pretty sweet. I mean, that was the only reason why I did not get a 509 was because I did not like that stupid hinge trigger. However, that could be changing. I think this Apex trigger is going to just make this gun a beast. But hopefully, I don't know. You guys know because you own them. So the other thing is we got a lot of cool topics. The first thing we're going to be talking about is going to be something that was kind of, I guess, previewed on Instagram. And I don't know if it's been on the internet per se, but definitely on Instagram. So I'm going to try to screen share this. We were playing around with this just prior. So I'm going to go with this. And you guys tell me if you can see this image in its full entirety. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me just freeze the screen. And we'll go there. Okay, can you see that, guys?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. So this is the new Arex Rex Delta. So, of course, it has to have some sort of special ops name to it because everything is like that. We know that. So this is their tactical striker-fired handgun. And, I know that KS posted something, and I could see him kind of, kissing up to the FIME groups.
Hey, shut up.
Saying that's the greatest gun ever. I want one. But, I don't blame him. I mean, anytime if I can get my hands on stuff, I will. But just looking at the picture, let's kind of digest this. Let's kind of look at this gun at its entirety. I know we get very excited when something new. It's kind of like kids in the candy store. You see that candy and you're like, must have it now. And in this case, we're seeing something like this. Curious to this picture. I mean, I'd like to hear what both of you guys think about what you're seeing. So who wants to go first?
Go ahead, KS.
Okay, give me just a sec, responding there for a moment. Okay, so and I wish the picture would stay up while we're talking. Do you have a way to lock it back up again?
It's not locked?
No, it won't stay locked for whatever reason, but it's not that big of it. There you go. You can kind of split screens. That's probably okay.
Is that okay? Yeah, I don't know if it shows up well enough. You tell me.
No, I think it looks fine. And hopefully other people are using a bigger screen than I am. But I think it kind of looks cool. It's about the size of a Glock 19, and that's kind of the Goldilocks zone, at least for me. But there's some interesting styling cues on that. The serrations look kind of cool, kind of different. It's got some different beveling, especially in the front of the slide. And so it's got kind of to me, it's kind of a futuristic look, which I can appreciate. That trigger, I'm very curious about. It's got thumb cuts on the side of the frame, which is very interesting. That's what a lot of people do aftermarket with their Glocks and other guns like that. So it looks like they were trying to take some cues from what people are spending their money after the fact. So that's smart. I can appreciate that. Now, the grip, and some of the other guys were saying something about the grip as well. I think Jasper was talking about that. The grip, from an appearance perspective, looks horribly uncomfortable, but obviously looks can be very deceiving, but it looks very squared. And Mateo was saying it looks a lot like the Ruger Security 9. I see some influences there perhaps as well, but I'm up almost always for trying something different and new. So if one comes across the radar, I mean, I would be interested in trying it.
My opinion is, Rex said, okay, I got this great idea. Let's take a P10C and let's take a Canic and a Glock and let's morph it all together and make this baby. The grip does nothing for me. I don't really think it's going to be anything spectacular. And the slide to me looks like a P10C or very similar to it. Also the mags, I'm sure they're going to be prepared to their mags, so you have to buy those also. But I don't know. I mean, I guess if I saw it in person, put my hands on it, I might think differently. But right now, it seems kind of like a hard pass for me. And if you look right at the back where it goes up in the beaver tail to the back of the slide, looks like a nice little pinch area right there. Almost looks like a Glock, the aftermarket Glock beaver tails you put on. And it kind of looks like it might get a little bit of that meat right there. I don't know if that'll happen, but, it doesn't do anything for me personally.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, breaking it down from top to bottom. Can you guys still see the picture? Because I have it full screen.
Yep.
So, you break it down from top to bottom. First off, the thing that I say stands out for me as what I like to see, I love the serrations on the slide. Almost like a triangular serration. It looks like the cuts are pretty deep. So it looks like they're going to be fairly usable, which I think is, great. I mean, anytime you're racking the gun, you want to have good contact with that slide. So it looks like they did a nice job with that. KS brought the idea up of like a beveled front, but I'm curious if those are going to be smooth angles or actually hard angles, almost reminiscent of the original P07 Duty. The sights look like they're just basic metal sights, which is fine. The frame is kind of interesting because, as you said, Big J, it's kind of a cross. It's a hybrid. You looked at the takedown, and the takedown looks exactly like a Glock. I mean, exactly like it. Even the rail in the front is very similar to a Glock's rail. You look at the back of it, and you brought up another great point, the idea that there looks like there's a pinch point. That looks like obviously an adjustable back strap, but it looks like there's a bit of a shelf there. So I can see your hand fat getting caught in there, like you were saying. Maybe not. It's too early to tell because we've never held the gun. But the thing that stands out to me is something I'm not too cool with is two things. It looks like the trigger guard is way too small, and that trigger just looks like it's too angled. Now, again, we're just looking at a picture of it, so it's going to be hard to say because we've never held it. And then the other thing that kind of stands out to me as a little bit off is the hump in the back of that gun. And again, I could be totally wrong. You put that in your hand, it might feel very comfortable, but it seems like that hump is a little bit too protruding out of that rear. And again, the stippling or the texturing on the sides, I don't know about that. But again, it's mostly front and back that you worry about. And it looks like it's got a pretty good bite there. And then the magazine actually looks like a +2 base plate. So it's probably going to carry like 17 rounds, I would assume, 15 or 17, which, I can't have anyway. So I don't know. I mean, this is going to be an interesting gun. It's their first entry into the striker fired. And when I first saw it, it kind of reminded me of that SARS Malaz gun, or however you pronounce it.
Exactly.
And I noticed in some of the other pictures when they, switched it to the right side, it actually looked like there was a safety, which, again, and it may be both, like one safety model, one without.
Right.
But I found that was kind of interesting. And the other thing, and this is the last I'll say about it, is there's not a lot of roll pins. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting to see how that gun, if you wanted to do a complete strip of the gun, how you're going to do it.
Walt said it's 4 different backstrap and the mag holds 15.
Well, there are a couple. There's a 15 and then a 17 round. Both come with it. They've got one with and without the thumb safety. So a couple of different variants. And some of the guys have been saying, you know, more the better as far as different offerings in this category. And I'm 100% in agreement, because it gives manufacturers the opportunity to try and outdo each other, which is good for us every single time. And hopefully this will, you know, be relatively budget friendly. And you know, I don't know. I'm curious about it.
Yeah, me too. And I'd like to see the size of it. I mean, it doesn't look like it's an overly big gun. And I think that's kind of cool. So maybe it'll be a carry gun instead of a duty gun, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to pull that picture down. You guys let me know if it's gone. Is it gone?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Man, this is pretty good, right? All right. So that's the first part of this. And that was a pretty good, interesting conversation, because it is exciting. You know, we're finally seeing some new things enter the market, and from manufacturers that I think a lot of people never really thought of. I mean, I would never think that this company would create a striker fired handgun. You know, I mean, it's just interesting. I think it's pretty cool. Now, of course, the coolest part is going to be to find out what the price is on this thing. It'd be nice to see them enter at around the 400, 450 mark. Maybe make it competitive with, let's say, a P10, and not go the Glock route, which is obviously 5+, you know. But I think it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
Well, and you know, one last thing, I think it's got a little bit of ground with it, because the Arex guns, the other ones, have been so well received. I mean, they've done well. I mean, you know, and people give the Mac elemental test or gauntlet test, whatever, a lot more hype than it really needs. But people have really talked very highly of the Arex because it did so well in the gauntlet. So they've got sort of the upper hand in getting this into the market. So as long as it works and it's reasonably priced and people find it reasonably comfortable, I think it'll succeed.
Oh, yeah.
So Harry is saying 450 is MSRP, which, if that's what it is MSRP, you figure in about 4.25, maybe a little less. Dude, that would be crazy awesome, because that's a great affordable handgun for a lot of people. Somebody's saying, oh, and they're talking about the Gen 5. We're going to get to that, guys. We're going to get to that. So now the next thing I'd like to talk to you guys about, and everybody who's watching this chat. So recently we've seen a couple of videos come out on that Archon firearms type B. Okay. And we've seen Mac, and Mac had some issues with light primer strikes. We've also seen, obviously, the notorious video, or the now infamous video from Honest Outlaw, when he took his and he couldn't even get through, I think it was something like 100 rounds without it, consistently failing. So obviously he contacted them. They're going to be doing something with a striker, but he had to send the gun to them, I believe. And so he's still waiting. It's going to be interesting to see what the turnaround time is on that. And of course, there have been some people who've been posting it, saying they've had nothing but a pleasure shooting it. But again, I'd like to hear if you guys think that this Archon B, whatever the hell they call it, is a boom or a bust, and if you think it's worth the $850 price tag.
Go ahead, KS.
So when I saw Mac's video on it, the first couple of minutes were a little bit of a letdown, because I've been curious about it. I haven't really expressed any excitement up to this point, because I just really haven't. And so I saw his video, and even though the first part of the video was a little bit frustrating to see, it got better, and it looked like a pretty cool shooter. And I started to get into my mind, it'd be fun to try that out, because it looks so flat. And it looks just like something very different. And I was the looks were growing on me a little bit, but when Honest put his video out, and we all know Honest very well. He is as honest as the day is long. So he will report everything he finds. It really, that sort of sank the ship for me a little bit. I said, okay, I'm out, and I'm out for now, not forever, not necessarily. If I can see a little bit more long-term, especially after the whole 365 thing, and again, I had great success with the 365, but so many didn't. I don't want to get caught up in that. I would rather avoid that experience with another firearm for a while and just get ones that work and hopefully and have a good time with it. So I'm out for the time being, but I will be patiently watching and rooting for it because, again, I think it's kind of a cool looking gun. But small manufacturers, Harry was saying this a moment ago, small manufacturers, anytime you're getting a gun from one of those, you run the risk of lack of support, lack of parts, lack of awareness, all sorts of potential issues with it could come out. And our buddy Jasper's had great luck with his, but I'm going to wait and see.
I was just kind of excited about it at the NRA, got to touch it and feel it, do all that stuff. And I was like, hey, can't wait till it comes out. But honestly, I mean, I kind of look at it this way. If you've got a Glock and you've got a P10 or you've got, this, a Steyr or whatever, I don't really know what that gun can do, that any other gun couldn't do. Now, if you had the original Strike, Strike 1, that's really cool. But, I don't know. I'm honestly, I don't have any reason to have it. I think right now it's, kind of at its high point, with the 850, I think, as they start filling orders and everything. And I hope they work great. I know that Jasper's had good luck with his. Some people haven't, but, if they get everything fixed, I'm sure it's going to sell, but I don't have any reason to have it personally.
Yeah, I mean, I know that Mateo is convinced that I've actually ordered one on the slide, but I have not. I did initially do the pre-order when it was in 700s, but I got my money back. There was just too many things going on that were a little bit just too much in regards to skepticism and the concern that if this is the way they were handling the release of the firearm, what would happen if, let's say, you did have a problem? I mean, how long is it going to take? Is there going to be support for it? I mean, it seems like they right away grabbed Honest Outlaw's gun, but remember, he is a pretty big star on YouTube. And so that's a lot of bad press that he's given to that company. So I think as a result, that's probably why. I mean, let's be honest, if you have a lot of followers, you're definitely going to get a lot more answers immediately. I mean, is it a nice looking gun? Sure it is. I don't know if I'd actually want to invest that kind of money. I know Jasper has been saying his has been running smooth, and I'm glad it is, man. And I hope he's enjoying it. I know he is. More power to him. KS said he didn't know if he would get one. I don't know where I'm at with the gun. I don't know. If the price comes down and you can get a good deal on it, maybe not. I don't know where I'm at right now with it. It's intriguing, but I don't know if it's enough for me to drop a dime on it. However, and I'm going to throw this out there, I am absolutely 100% looking forward to the Caracol. And I know they've been sort of plagued with some problems, but those are the ones from the UAE. These are now Caracol USA guns, so hopefully those will be fixed.
Well, Mac had the Caracol USA one, and he had issues with his.
I don't know if he had the USA one. I think he had the
he had the other one and the new USA one. So on his last video, he said that was the USA one. And he was going to send it back to him. They were going to fix it. So I don't know. Yeah,
because I know Steve Lemieux has one, but he's also contacted them, and they've actually said to send the gun back to them, and they're going to replace it. So, I mean, that says a lot. I mean, if a company is willing to do that, it says two things. The first generation of them sucked ass, and now that they have these new generations, they're willing to, give back, which I think is always good.
Yeah.
And then Razor's asking if they've contacted. They have contacted me, but they didn't give me anything. But I did put my name on the list. So for those of you who have either a law enforcement background, fire background, EMS background, you actually will get a pretty decent discount. Although, it's not for everybody, unfortunately. Sorry, guys. All right, so let's bring up the next elephant in the room, shall we? And I'm going to screen share this. I think this is going to bring up some either anger or I'm not exactly sure. So let's go for it. You guys tell me if it comes up. I'm going to send it to everyone. All right. I'll lock my screen and we'll see. So I'm not even going to really talk about it too much. I want to hear what you guys have to say about this and obviously the comments from everybody on here. So you obviously see we've got the Glock 45 on the top and of course the 19X on the bottom. There are some obviously some minor differences between the two as far as I know. But I like the front serrations, but I don't want to talk too much yet. So I want to hear what you guys think about it. And I already know what KS is thinking. He's like, I already got one, but I want to hear what you guys have to say and be honest, you know. So take it away. Whoever wants to go first.
You want to go, KS? Doesn't matter to me.
No, you go first this time.
Okay. Well, I have the 19X and I actually really like it. My hopes when the 19X was coming out or going to come out that it would have the front slide serrations. We talked about that, but it didn't. So now it does on the 45, which is cool. But since I own the 19X, would I jump out or run out and buy a 45? No, not necessarily. I don't need it. And one thing that I actually prefer now that I've tried it, and this is strictly for me, that I've tried the 19X, is that little piece of polymer over the front of the mag, how it hangs down and gives that little extra piece of real estate where it's not on the 45. I actually like that because it gives me a little place for my pinky down at the bottom and it doesn't ride the mag. So that's what I like about the 19X. It shoots great. I've had no issues with it. And actually, I kind of prefer the color. The FDE, it's something different. You know, the Glock 45, other than the front serrations, kind of looks like, you know, any other gun if you were looking at it from a distance and couldn't see the length of the slide or the grip. You know, it's just black and it's a Glock. And I know there's some internal stuff. I know all that. But also, they didn't even put, I know you can get an upgraded version with the night sights, but it just didn't come factory on the 45 with night sights, which I kind of wish it would, you know, like the 19X did. But you know, it's to each their own, whatever they, you know, prefer. And I know that they were going to make the black one for the law enforcement, you know, because they were wanting the black. But I just thought it was going to be a 19X black. And as far as the 45 name, I commented to KS about this. You know, why did they name it the 45? He told me it was the 45th patent, which is cool. But I was thinking they should have named it the 19BS for black serrations.
All right. So a couple of things. I mean, first, I am excited. I mean, I'm a fan of Glock. I love the 19X. I've gained a great appreciation for it. And in the past, I've really struggled with 17s. That's been kind of a sore spot with Glocks. I've never connected as well as I have with 19s. But for whatever reason, the lack of finger grooves, the amount of real estate that the 19X gives you, it's very comfortable. I thoroughly enjoy it. I like the trigger on the Gen 5 system a little bit better. And so when this came out, this sort of brought in that whatever Gen 4.5, we'll call it, that FS summer version that they did very, very briefly. So they brought those front serrations back, and people are going to make a big deal about the front serrations. So we'll just kind of get that out of the way real quick. It's not the end all be all thing, but I like it. I think it breaks up the slide a little bit. It's something that people do aftermarket anyways. Why not Glock just go ahead and do it? So I think they were smart to do that, but I like the look of it. I think it's going to be an interesting gun. Now, as far as night sights, they do have a night sight version, and so that is available. It's with the AmeriGlow sights. It's the same thing they did with the Gen 5 Glocks. So I'm excited. I think it'll be fun. And of course that coupled with the MOS 19 and 17, people were very excited to see that in Gen 5, and they kept the serrations, which is pretty cool. I like them. So I'm excited. I may have one or two things on order arriving tomorrow. We shall see, but I'm very excited about it.
So what is that? A 45 and a 19 MOS Gen 5?
Maybe, possibly.
Oh, for God's sake. So, you know, I mean, I like the 19X. I mean, looking both guns there, you know, I love the grip on the 19X. I love the 17 grip. I just think it's better than the 19, but, you know, just the ergonomics feel better. But I mean, overall, I'm super happy with the 19X. I mean, you know, yeah, they changed that front flare, and Big Johnson said that he actually likes it. And so do I. I like that little lip at the bottom. Kind of gives you that continuity on the grip, you know, instead of having that space in between the grip with the mag. But at the same time, I mean, the front serrations are cool. I mean, that's something that a lot of people have been looking for a long time. And it looks like finally Glock has listened, which is great. I'd like to pretend that we had something to do with that, but obviously we didn't. And I mean, it's going to be a big seller. I know a lot of people, especially in law enforcement, are looking at that and they're saying, man, that is definitely the duty gun I want. And I know there's going to be a lot of people who buy it. Is it enough for me to go out and buy one? Probably not at this time, but I won't dismiss ever. because I do like the grip shape, and I do like the way the 19X has run for me. So I have no issues with it. But I've already gotten so many modifications to the 19X, it doesn't really make sense to go that route, at least not right now. But I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I think it's nice to finally see Glock actually listening to people. If that's what they're doing, who knows? All right, so let me pull this down. All right, so we should be back on the screen. And then Big Johnson is frozen in time holding something up. I'm not sure what that is.
He said, well, y'all were talking about Glocks. He wanted to see a CZ, so I was just holding it up so they could,
yeah, I can't. Unfortunately, I can't see the comments because when I go to that, that thing, I can't.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
He said, well, y'all are talking about Glocks. Can we at least see a CZ? So I was just holding them up for him.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not really a CZ night. It's more of a Glock night, which is kind of crazy. So right now, we're going to take a little bit of a brief break with handguns because we still have the other one we're going to be talking about. And we kind of want to save that for a little bit later, to try to, extend this chat for as long as we can. But I have a question for both of you, and it really is not gun related. However, it is sort of, kind of, I guess, Second Amendment related. So obviously, tomorrow's a big day in the Supreme Court hearings. Obviously, we've had Judge Kavanaugh, who is supposedly going to be selected as our next Supreme Court judge. There has been a lot of turmoil because now there are 3 individuals who have accused him of some sort of misconduct, really sexual assault. Let's be honest, that's what it is. And honestly, a lot of people looked at Kavanaugh as that if he went into the Supreme Court, obviously being a constitutionalist and seeing the fact that this was a guy who would interpret that Constitution as opposed to using his own political beliefs or, political emotion in that. And now we're seeing that there's a potential that he may not get selected because of these accusations. And of course, we can debate whether or not they're true, and that's not what this is about. But I'd like to hear from both of you about your opinion on whether or not you think that the process up to this point and further starting tomorrow, do you think it's been a fair, unbiased process? Because again, that's what it's supposed to be. You're supposed to vet these people. That's why they have the Senate confirmation hearings. And, do you really think, and if you've been paying attention, I don't know if you guys have, but I figured it was worth talking about. Do you think that this has been an open process that has brought in unbiased, unpolitical views in regards to fairness of the court? So what do you guys think about that?
Well, I'll talk. I think that it has not been because, he hasn't been proven guilty. He hasn't had his day in court, so to say. I mean, if we can be hung by an opinion or, what she said, he said, I mean, he has a wife, kids, they go to school, they're young children. And I mean, his whole, even if he, guilty or not guilty, I mean, he's basically being hung right now. And, I've been watching the news and stuff, and Yale, at Yale, they actually had a sit out or a lockout. And these were Yale law students. And they actually basically convicted him of guilt. And so they protested. And I mean, they're law students. I mean, they are not practicing what they're freaking learning. And everybody's hanging this poor guy out to dry, and he has done nothing, all the way up until now. And then all of a sudden they dig all this mess up on him. I mean, and, we've got people in the chat, us. And I mean, if we went back to stuff that we did in high school or junior high or whatever, come on. I mean, there's got to be, Jesus isn't running. Okay. I mean, it's a man. It's a human being. Nobody's perfect. If he screwed up then, and I look at it this way, if something seriously happened and the one lady was like, oh, I went to 10 parties and this happened 10 times. Seriously, I don't think you're hanging out with the right crowd or going to the right parties. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And I think the Democrats are running with this. And also look at this lawyer, man. I mean, you can just look at this guy and he's running for, all this mess, and he's just picking up. It's like an ambulance chaser. I mean, he's just one of those types. And, I'm not saying, guilty or innocent. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say, keep it all at rest or at bay until people show up in court, say what they need to say, and then they can be judged. But you can't judge them in the media. I mean, it's just not fair. Period.
What about you, Ken?
Well, I mean, I first kind of want to say I'm so tired of all the accusations that we're hearing, whether it be in politics or in Hollywood or whatever it is. I mean, that seems, we kind of migrate from one dramatic thing to another dramatic thing that captures the news, and it's the headline every other day. And right now we're in that mode of people accusing other people of relative high stature of doing something. And it oftentimes is 10, 20, 30 years ago. I mean, come on. So obviously this is very politically motivated, and the Democrats don't want a Republican judge in the Supreme Court. I mean, that's obviously true, which is too bad. It would be very unfortunate for us. So, I hope that all of this goes away. They find out that she's full of crap, and he's able to get in, and she goes away along with anybody else that helped her, because I think a lot of this is very shady and underhanded. I mean, obviously I can't prove it. It's just my own thoughts, but it just seems to be that this was just too convenient. You know what I mean? Now there are some people out in the audience have been saying some very interesting things. Walter Miner had mentioned that he has damaged goods, and it's unfortunate, but I think there may be some truth to that. Once this word gets out, once there's an accusation, it's hard to erase that from people's minds, even if it isn't true. And I don't think it is true. And so he's going to face an uphill battle because of that, unfortunately. And I mean, just everybody's thoughts here. I'm 100% on board with what everybody's saying. Razor was saying it's all nonsense. I mean, I totally agree with that. So, hopefully this will stop being front page news, and we can get everything in order, get him in his seat, and move on with life. The drama, I'm tired of the drama. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely understand what you're saying. I think the problem is, this has become such a politicized situation. I mean, the Supreme Court is supposed to be above political groups, and, they try to come out saying that they're supporting these women, but yet they've known about this. They actually had a lie detector test done for the first woman, Ford, I believe is her last name, in August. So now we're already at the end of September. So they've had all this time to say something. And of course, at the last minute, that's when it happens. And that's where the speculation occurs. And I mean, maybe it's real, maybe it is, but the way they're doing it, it puts no real respect to the idea of sexual assault for women. And I think that's a problem. And it just goes to show you the opportunists that are out there, especially political opportunists, who are willing to do anything at any cost just to get their political will. And honestly, it is disgusting and it is sickening. Hopefully tomorrow they have a female attorney who's supposedly pretty damn good at what she does, and she's in I think the sexual assault unit of law, wherever it is. Don't quote me on that, but apparently she's very savvy. She's very good at what she does, and hopefully we'll get some answers tomorrow, and whatever happens, but I just think the way this whole process is unfolded is an absolute disgrace. I think the unfortunate leftists who are now in control of the Democrat Party are out of control. And I say that as a personal opinion. You don't have to agree with that. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of hate, but I don't really care because that's my opinion. It doesn't have to be yours. And if you don't like it, don't watch. All right. So that's it for politics, guys.
Real quick, I have to say one more thing. What's going to happen with this whole deal is, as we keep going through all of this, it's basically going to come down to they're going to try to pick different people, not just with him, but I mean, and people are just going to be like, no, hell no, I don't want to be put through that. I mean, it's going to be where people don't even want to serve. And that's the sad thing, because they're going to be put through this and it's just a joke. So sorry.
Yeah. And I think people will always serve, especially when you give them a lifetime pension and the ability to, make a lot of money when they supposedly leave the Congress by lobbying and stuff. So the whole system is just all screwed up right now. So we'll see how it plays out. All right, guys. So we're now going to shift gears again, and we're going to go to our next and final new entry. And let me pull that picture up. Let me get us onto screen share. And let me just do this. Oh, hold on. There we go. And voila. And I'm going to present this to everyone. I'm going to full screen it if I can figure this out. All right. So now we have two little beauties here, in my opinion. And these are the two that I'm actually more excited about than that Glock 45. Initially, I was really excited about the Glock 45, but then they put these two bad boys out there in the public. So I won't say anymore. I'll let you guys have the floor, and you can tell me what your thoughts are on the 17 and the 19 MOS and the Gen 5.
Go ahead, KS.
Okay. Yeah, I'm all on board. Now, as I've said before, I'm not as much of a fan of the 17, but I'm on board with the 19. I like the flexibility. I like the idea that you can throw the red dot on it. You can just put the plate on it and just run it as is. Just the same with the Gen 4 MOS, but again, with some of the enhancements, I mean, I do believe that the Gen 5 trigger is a little bit better. I know some people say the Gen 3, I say the Gen 5, but yeah, I like it. I like it quite a bit. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's so similar to the 45, but it's a 19. But yeah, I'm excited about
it. Honestly, I've got the Gen 5 34, and it's okay. Don't really have any issues with it, but I personally don't see any reason to have this. I'm more excited about the P10, that's coming out, that's going to have the red dot cut and stuff. So that's what I'm excited about.
Interesting. So, I'm looking at them. Honestly, I don't know which one I like better. I don't know if I like that 17 better than the 19 or vice versa. I already contacted my local gun shop to see if he would be able to get his hands on the 19 in the MOS. He said he's definitely going to be getting some. He's going to be getting the 45 in soon as well. So I'm going to check that out when it comes out. Honestly, I like the idea of having the MOS. I mean, if I was to, let's say, get one, probably would actually wind up trading in my Gen 5 19 that I have now for it, because it's basically the same gun. And I don't really need two of them, but I do like them. I mean, I think, once again, Glock is now, of course, they're not reinventing the handgun per se, but at the same time, they're giving you improved options. Now, of course, they're going to be the haters who say, oh, what the hell have they improved? But I mean, the small things that they've improved on the Gen 5 model were even surprising to me. I never had any intentions of getting a Gen 5. Then I bought the 19X. I liked the fact that those finger grooves weren't there so much. So I went the Gen 5 19 route. And I think this is a great addition to it. The little tweaks here and there, the front serrations, the idea that they got rid of that stupid hole that they put in front of the grip with the magazine well. I think those are little great additions. While they don't add to too much in regards to innovation, it still makes them desirable handguns. And I think that's why Glock is, as much as people hate them because they think they suck, that's why I think Glock is so good, because they're so smart at playing the market, I guess you could say, because no matter how much you hate them, they still invent little tweaks here and there that make them desirable to people. And I think that's why they just have such a great market share right now.
So real quickly, there was a little bit of a conversation as far as the micro red dots. Mateo and Razor and a few other people were talking about this, and they were making great points that why go with an MOS system when you can get the slide milled, you can get it milled lower, so the red dot sits lower, and I totally get that, and I'm on board with that. However, I like the MOS system for the flexibility. I like the idea of being able to put on a variety of different red dots, and especially as a reviewer, if you come across a couple, 2, 3 different red dots that you want to try out, you have one platform that you can test them on. It's a consistent platform. You don't have to buy different guns. You don't have to worry about some of that kind of stuff, unless of course you have them in the safe anyway. So there are kind of pros and cons to each one, but I totally get the milling for specific, like a Trijicon RMR or something like that. I get it, but again, flexibility for me is key. So I like that system. Same thing on the FN 509. I like the flexibility.
Well, the 509 is actually lower. It's
a little, yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, they do bring a good point up in regards to milling it. I'm actually going to look into seeing how much locally I can get it done for my 19. And if it's a good price, I know somebody's mentioned $75. I don't know how much it would cost around here. But if it's a reasonable price, I might just go that route, because honestly, I'd love to own a Trijicon, but I can't afford a Trijicon. I'm not going to lie to you and say, oh yeah, I got 2 in my safe. I'm never going to afford those. I have the Vortex Venom. I think it's the Venom. Yeah, Venom. And I'm happy with that. I mean, if I can mill it for that, great. I'm totally happy with that. So I don't know. I've got to see, what's the best route for me. But again, it's going to be individual choice. I know that Channel Cat Chaser said that hole had been there. He had it on his Gen 2 23. And again, that's why I'm saying, like, I think what happens with Glock is they kind of they change things and then they change them back and then they change them again. So it kind of keeps people on an off balance. It's almost like you enjoy something really much and a lot, and then they change it, and then you're like, damn it, why did they change it? But then they go back to it so you can go and buy the newest one that has it. At least that's what I would think. And somebody said marketing, and you're absolutely correct. It's all about marketing.
Yeah.
Put
lipstick on a pig.
God, if we want to talk about poor marketing, what I'm going to bring up. For God's sake.
We know.
Starts with an S, ends with a R.
Yeah. Remember how to spell it?
Yeah, I forgot to say. I know how to say it. Steyr. But their marketing is terrible, and everybody knows it. So you have a great gun, poor marketing. Glock, it could be a crappy gun, but it's got great marketing. So you get what you get.
Yeah, very true.
All right, so we're at about 8:40, so we can, we're going to change it up now. I mean, those are basically the guns I want to bring up tonight. We can start taking questions from everybody. We can bring up different things. Just really quick, I did speak to Flayed Customs, who has my my Steyr, my frame for the L9, and so hopefully in a couple of days, he'll start working on it. I'm super excited because I was explaining to him that there are a lot of people who own those handguns that don't really have a lot of options for anything, and if he can just knock this out of the ballpark and hit a home run with it, it's going to generate hopefully some business for him. And I'm really excited to see what he comes up with. I've kind of given him free reign, but I do want to know what he's doing before he does it. And it's going to be cool. I can't wait. I'm super excited to get that back because I think it's going to be sweet as hell. So hopefully in maybe a week or two, I'll get that back, and I can't wait to show everybody. So I just wanted to share that with you guys.
Well, it'll be better than yours.
Oh yeah, God. I mean, a blind man with no hands could have done better than mine.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then Razor also had some of his grips done with Glocks, and he sent me some pictures of them, and they came out friggin' awesome. So I can't wait to see what Sean does for me, and hopefully he does it well. Which I know
Razor
he will.
said he does quality work. He just left a comment.
Yep. So what do you guys have? What do you want to talk about? You doing anything new? You got any new guns you want to talk about really quick? Anything exciting?
Go ahead, Chaos.
Yeah, actually in my week off this week, one of the things I did, I went and had a little fun with the can. Actually yesterday I took the Glock 19X with the silencer co-barrel. It is finally broken in, 150 rounds flawless, which is very exciting. It had some bobbles in the beginning, so it's all worn in and good and a stable platform now, or at least I hope. But the P10 continues to have all sorts of miserable problems. The mag, even though I've changed out the mag release, a brand new one from CZ, once again it dropped the mag several times out of there, which was very disappointing. But then the slide would not come back to battery after almost every single shot, and so I've had so many problems with that. Not with the can off. With the can off, it runs fine. It runs like a top. But I'm sort of the mindset now that if I'm going to have a firearm in the collection, it has to be able to do what it's what it was intended to do. And in this case, I feel like that CZ, because it's the tactical with the threaded barrel and the high sights and everything, it was intended to run suppressed, but it clearly is not. So I'm going to contact CZ and see what they have to say about it. But there is a possibility that the P10, and this is the first time since May of last year I've said this, but it's possible that the P10 may call it quits for a while on the channel. Now, I still love that gun, but I kind of need to make some room for some other things as well. So we'll have to see what happens. But that was a bit of a revelation yesterday, because I've been on the P10 bandwagon for a year and a half now, and and unfortunately, it was just that's been very disappointing. Without the can, again, it's great, but then why I shouldn't have bought that version of it. I should have kept the old FDE one because it was fine. Hindsight's 2020, but that's been a disappointment. Otherwise, everything else is going great.
Cool. Well, I did go to American Resistance. Did the shooting with the AR-9, and we shot some automatics and semi-automatics and ARs, and So I picked up a PCC 16-inch pistol caliber carbine that does take Glock mags, and really enjoyed shooting it out there. And so I've got it here now, and put a red dot on it. So I've got to get it dialed in. I just put the red dot on it this afternoon before the chat. So I got that bolted up on there, and going to give that a whirl. Also picked up a new Weatherby 308. And I don't know, I mean, if you watched my video, the little chat where I was driving down the road, I was talking about these. I don't know if I'm going to leave it in the regular stock configuration or put it in a chassis. And before everyone says 6.5 and all this other stuff, I'm a 308 guy. I'm just old school, and I like 308. Nothing against 6.5s. I think they're nice. But anyway, so I don't know if I'm going to put it in a chassis or not. I'm going to play around with that. And I did pick up a Lancer L30 heavy metal. So it's an AR-10, and it's pretty awesome. And that's the rifle that I've been thinking about for a long time. I think I told everyone that I wanted to get an AR-10, and I wanted to wait and get a really good one, and I grabbed a good one. So, and it's got the heavy-duty barrel in it. The bullet, you know, it's got the heavy barrel, and it's chambered in 308, but it's the gosh, I never can pronounce it. It's basically a precision barrel in it. It's a white oak barrel. So pretty excited about it, but looking at some glass for it. And as you know, optics are a huge decision. So I've, you know, buy once, cry once. That's what I'm going to do. And I just want to make sure I get the right one. So I'm just weighing everything. I've been getting input from all the guys that do long range, and that's kind of where I am with it right now. So that's the goodies I've grabbed.
Very cool. So just kind of harping on to the, you know, the P10 discussion that KS was bringing up, you know, you guys know that I had some issues with you know, two of mine, and you know, again, I swore off the gun, but I do like the gun. The gun was good. I picked up another one. Haven't gotten it yet because I haven't got my permission slip from mommy and daddy in the courts. But you know, I'm waiting for that. I'm sort of excited to get back to it to see what this one does. You know, I know it is one of the newer models based on the back plate of the slide. And I'm excited to see if it's going to run. And I'm excited because I do like the gun, and I'm hoping this time it actually, you know, works longer than 1,000 rounds. But, you know, in regards to some of the other things, you know, I know that, I'm going to kind of show you just one thing, maybe two things, but this gun I just got, you can see here, it's a Rock Island Armory. I don't know if it zooms in, whatever, but this is their MAP series handgun. It's a 9mm. It's a full size grip with the shorter slide. And it's really, obviously it's a clone of EAA, Tanfoglio, CZ, Magnum Research, IWI, you name it, because they all use basically the same stuff. And, you know, so far this little guy is actually a pretty sweet gun. The one thing that I have noticed, and again, when I review it and do the tabletop, I'll show that to you. I have noticed that the safety on it is not very good. It's extremely difficult to activate. It's easy to swipe off, but to swipe it on, it's like impossible. I have to use my other hand to do it. But so far, I mean, it's pretty impressive. I know a lot of people swear off of Rock Island Armory, but you know, I'm impressed with it. But I think if it said EAA or Tanfo and whatever, I'd be just as impressed, because again, it is a clone and it's pretty solid. You know, so far so good. The other thing that's kind of interesting is, you know, you guys know that I did the 1911 from Rock Island, and I was kind of like, you know, I'm not a 1911 guy. So I'm just going to show you this really quick. And I mean, you can see this is another 1911. And if you look at it, it says EMP4. And, you know, I'm not a 1911 guy, but this thing is pretty sweet. It's a 9mm. It's aluminum. And it's pretty damn nice. I'm not going to lie. So if I was looking at 1911s, this would be one that I would strongly consider. I don't know the price. I haven't looked it up, but I do like it, and it's pretty sweet. So I can't wait to shoot this thing either. This might actually turn me into a 1911 guy, which is bad for me because those are expensive. But other than that, I mean, you know, that's about it, you know, in regards to new stuff. You know, I'm just playing around with some things and shooting some things. I got some new guide rods from DPM, and I love those things. I know some people don't think there's a big deal, but I like them. I really do think they make a small difference, maybe not huge, especially in a 9mm caliber, but I think they're awesome. I really do. So, you know, we'll see how it works out. So kind of just looking at the side views here, some people are saying they've seen some good reviews on the maps. Let's see, 509 Tactical went dormant. Haven't heard about too much and seen a lot of them used for sale. Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Have you guys seen that? A lot of them on sale or used or anything with the 509 tax?
I've seen the original 509 on sale, but not the tactical. They're still
No.
selling. They're still selling in my area.
Yeah, the tacticals, and it's the same in my area as well. But the original, the black one, you can find those for 300, 350 on the shelf. Gun stores are having a hard time selling those.
Yeah.
Music said she missed the gun, so this is the MP4. It's pretty sweet. It's got that little cutout in the back. Pretty nice. Sorry.
You know what that's for.
Yeah, you already told me.
Don't say it out loud.
No, I can't. It's a G-rated show. Let's see what else is going on the sides here. So basic 509 for $399. I actually got a 509 for what did I say it was? I forget. Was it $379? I think it was $379. And I'm a little disappointed because I've tried to contact the seller on a couple occasions and also call them, and they are not returning my calls. And I'm kind of pissed because I get a feeling they're backing out of the sale, which kind of sucks for me because now I've got to price them out again.
Yeah, probably are. Yeah, Walter brings up a good question or a good comment, and I think, well, I know I'm a big FN fan, have been forever, and I'm sure you guys have too. But FN's not a big seller because it has no marketing. But then you got to remember they don't necessarily market to us. Okay,
right.
Law enforcement, military, that's their huge gravy train. So we're just the pebbles. But yeah, it's like Steyr. I mean, hell, if they marketed stuff and said, "Hey, check this out," boom, And matter of fact, hell, I see people go in the gun store and the guy will be like, "Hey, we got this new FN," and they're like, "What's that?" People have no idea what the hell they are, or what they do, or what they're about. So, but I think they're a very underappreciated gun until you own one or two or whatever. They're great pistols. I've yet to ever have a problem with one. And I've had 4 of them now so far.
Jasper was saying he's been waiting for an EMP for CCC, which is what 17 was holding up for a while, but just haven't pulled the proverbial trigger yet. I've heard they glue the extractor in and only pin it in if sent in for repairs. I don't seem to remember that being the case, but they really are fantastic guns. My one criticism of those guns, I think they are dramatically overpriced. I mean, they're $1,200 guns, $1,300 guns, depending on where you go, and that's pretty steep for that gun. But
the one I have is $1,200.
Yeah, oh yeah, they're expensive. The EMPs are really expensive.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, now they are built on the same platform that the TRP is built on, so high quality build. I mean, they're very nice. I did that 3-inch EMP very early on in the channel, but I had a carry contour for a short while, and I regret getting rid of that thing. But they're pretty expensive guns.
Nice. Jeez, so I feel like I'm rich with holding this gun. It's like, yes.
But it's a good size. I like the size of it.
Yeah, I mean it's light, and that's why I like it. It's not that big, heavy, bulky kind of feel in it, and it's just got enough grip and enough bite to it and I like the positions of the safeties. They're not too low, so hopefully I won't have that issue of it rubbing into my hand as I'm shooting. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Sure, you'll like it.
What's that?
But I'm sure you'll really like it.
Oh, I'm gonna like it because it goes bang every time I pull the trigger. So yeah. At least I hope so.
Yeah.
All right, so we're at 8:53. We've got about 7 minutes left, and then we're going to seal the deal on this wonderful chat that we had. So I'm, going to start saying thank you to everybody who showed up. Again, I don't know how many we have. I don't know how many we had because I didn't look back.
4.
But what's that?
4.
So all 4 of you, we truly appreciate you.
Says 73.
Well, that's. Oh, we almost had 76. Damn it. But again, we always appreciate everybody who comes out for the chat on a Wednesday night. We know that everybody has things to do, and you probably have your little kids tugging at your shirt saying, "Come on, Daddy, play with me." But you'd rather spend time with us and waste that hour of your life. And we do appreciate it. We appreciate the support. We also appreciate everybody who watches our channels and really just the great comments. I mean, one of the things that I've noticed lately, and I feel bad because I haven't had a time. I've been so busy with work that I haven't had time to really talk back to people in regards to the comments and everything, but there's just been a lot of good comments on the videos lately, and I appreciate that. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I think we all kind of got involved in this. It's just to have that conversation, you know, I mean, obviously there are some haters. It's interesting. I got a nice comment today on my CCP video where the guy told me it was a total hack job on my review, and it was the best flattest shooting 9mm he's ever shot under $500. So the first thing that jumped in my mind was that gun's under $400, and if that's the best flattest shooting 9mm you've ever shot, then you have never shot half the 9mm out there right now. Just saying. But you know, so but I do appreciate the comments from everybody and just the support, because you know, it's always fun to keep on doing it stuff.
Yeah, and I want to reiterate that, you know, thank you to all the, you know, people who tune in to us. You know, that means a lot to us. We enjoy doing these Wednesday chats, you know, and it's great being on with you two yahoos. Yeah, it's a great community we have here, you know, with very like-minded people, and of course we don't always have to agree. That's the good thing about this. You know, as long as everyone's civil, we all have conversations, and that's what it's about. So, and you're not nobody's guilty on this chat until it's proven.
Yeah.
But no, we appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll echo what both of these fools had to say. Thank you guys all very much. We appreciate it. Always look forward to Wednesday nights and waxing idiotic with all of you guys and talking about guns and gear and all those cool things. So some fun things coming up on the channel. I'm finally getting around to the TSO. That actually comes out this weekend. It's only been, what, like 3 months, 4 months, something like that. So better late than never. But anyways, again, you guys, thank you. We think you are the best.
So what's a TSO?
Huh?
What's a TSO?
It's a so.
It's a so, yes, exactly. So just really quick, 8x2 had asked a question a while ago. So he said, hey, what happened to my question? So we're going to answer you, because we're not only going to answer questions you give for people who give super chats, because we don't do that here, but and we don't beg for money either. I just want to, you know, make that clear to everyone. So really quick, 8x2 asked originally, and hopefully this is the question he was referring to, or she, I'm not sure. Do you think if more striker fired gun manufacturers adopted the striker indicator that protrudes as you pull the trigger, that would draw shooters who prefer hammer fired guns? So really quick, what are your thoughts on that?
No.
No. I mean,
I don't mean that like I don't mean that like dismissing the question at all, but it's a totally separate, totally different feeling, totally different action, double action, single action. You've got a heavy pull, you've got a light pull, usually very clean, even with the heavy pull, versus a striker. It's the same feeling every time, and it isn't always a high quality feeling, but it's a very different feeling. And that striker indicator doesn't necessarily serve a purpose other than showing you that the striker is engaged and ready to fire. So it's not any sort of a safe anything whatsoever. It's just an indicator. So in my opinion, no.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's not like you can push it, you know, because there's guns who already have that now, and it's not like you can push it in like you can, you know, actually hold a hammer and then load it if you're carrying an appendix, and the hammer, you know, if you feel it push back, something's in the trigger guard. So yeah, it's not a true safety or anything like that. And also, as a gun manufacturer, I would never want it to be like, you know, thought of that way. I wouldn't want anybody to try to depend on that, because that's not what it's there for. You know, it's a visual, or you can feel it, you know, like if it's in a dark drawer or something, you know, you can feel it. That's just what it's there for.
Yeah, and honestly, I agree with the majority of people who answered this, and then a lot of people were saying, no, I agree with it, because if you're looking at that, you're not looking at the right thing.
Exactly.
You know,
right.
Bottom line, you know, I've hammer fired guns and striker fired guns, and I've had that little protrusion in the back. And if you're looking at that, then you're clearly not looking at your target, which obviously is the most important thing when you're going to shoot something. You know, could it be a distraction? Sure, it could be a distraction. Anything could be a distraction. Do I think it's necessary? Nah. And honestly, when you're shooting a hammer fired gun, you're not looking at the hammer to see when it drops. You know, you're feeling the take up, and you're really learning the trigger. You know, because once you start using that trigger and you start using that gun a lot, especially for hammer fired guns, you start to learn exactly where that hammer breaks. You can actually feel it. You can actually feel the tension building on the spring, and then you know just when it breaks at the correct spot. So I would say no on that one also.
And I'll bring up one quick point about that. You know, with something that's going to go in and out, and I've had guns that I've had guns that have had that. And you know, if you're carrying an appendix or whatever position, you know, you can get sweat, gunk, you know, just oil, grease, and all that gunk just kind of wads up on there. And I've seen it on my own gun. and then as it goes in and goes out, it's just pushing it in and out of the gun. So I think they're kind of useless personally. And I would never go and buy a gun. Hey, I've got to have one that has that. I would want a gun that didn't have it personally.
Hey, one other point, Captain Shark was saying striker indicators for putting your finger on while holstering, and you guys may have mentioned that before, but if it starts pushing out, stop pushing your gun in the holster. Although in theory that is true, that's another thing I would not rely on to be an indicator that something is in the trigger well that might potentially pull that trigger back. I would look at your holster. Look what you're doing. You know, it's one thing to look at your target. If you have to draw your gun, you're not going to be looking at your holster, but you have time to reholster. Just look at your reholster. Don't rely on anything but visual clues and all that kind of stuff, because, you know, feeling something and some of those, like the VP9, some of those little indicators, they really don't protrude out. They're just a visual. And so you can't, I mean, like, so I've got my 19X right here and it's not loaded or anything like that, but you know, it's got it. The extractor is also a little bit of a loaded chamber indicator. Yeah. I'll tell you what, you can barely feel that thing. Right. And the idea of having my thumb on it and putting a round in and telling the difference, maybe, but not necessarily. I wouldn't rely on that.
Yeah. And I mean, I do agree with, you know, having, like, if someone's concerned about it, you know, being able to put their hand on the back of the hammer and feel it. But, you know, I personally don't do that, because once it's in the holster, you know, unless you're taking it out, if I'm taking my gun out, it's for a damn reason, and it's probably not going to go back in empty. Right. or excuse me, loaded. So, you know, we don't know what could happen, but, you know, I think once you load it and it's in there, leave the damn thing alone. It's not like you're going to be pulling it out and putting it in. Right. So.
All right, fellas. And I think at the end of the day, I'll just end it with 3 last words before we sign out and say goodnight. What it boils down to is practice, practice, practice.
Yep.
So thanks, guys, for joining us. Thanks everybody who's been on the panel and of course on the side chat. We appreciate it every week, Wednesday night. Next week, I believe it'll be on KS's channel, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So hopefully we'll all be there, because you never know. Things get crazy sometimes. But again, thanks, guys. Appreciate you being here, and good chat. Good night.
Thanks everyone. Carry on.